Some people would rather struggle for hours than ask someone for 5 minutes of help. They'll search the internet, figure it out alone, carry the stress quietly, not because they're arrogant, not because they think they're better than others, but because asking for help feels strangely uncomfortable. If you're someone who finds it easier to solve everything alone, this video might explain why. Because sometimes the reason you hate asking for help has nothing to do with independence. It has everything to do with how you grew up. Think about this. There are people who ask for help very naturally. They call a friend when something goes wrong. They ask questions when they're confused. They share their struggles openly. And then there are people like this. They try everything alone first. They struggle quietly. They keep saying things like, "It's fine. I'll figure it out. I don't want to bother anyone." Even when they're overwhelmed, even when they're exhausted, even when help would make everything easier. It's like carrying 10 heavy bags from the grocery store, while someone right next to you is offering to hold one. But something inside you says, "No, I'll manage." Not because the bags aren't heavy, but because somewhere along the way, you learn that relying on others isn't safe. Psychology calls this hyper-independence, and it often develops in childhood. When a child grows up in an environment where their needs are ignored, dismissed, or treated like a burden, they learn something powerful. They learn that asking for help doesn't work. Maybe they asked for support and were told, "Stop complaining. Handle it yourself. You're old enough to deal with it." Or maybe the adults around them were already overwhelmed, so the child learned not to add to the pressure. Over time, the brain adapts. It creates a rule. If I rely on myself, I won't be disappointed. And that rule becomes part of their personality. They become capable, responsible, self-reliant, but also uncomfortable with vulnerability. Because asking for help requires something many hyper-independent people struggle with: trust. It means admitting, "I can't do this alone." And for someone who learned early that they had to do everything alone, that can feel incredibly difficult. So instead, they carry everything themselves, like a backpack that slowly fills with stones. One responsibility at a time, until the weight becomes exhausting. But here's the truth. Being independent is not a problem. Independence can be strength. The problem is when independence becomes isolation. Humans were never designed to carry everything alone. Even the strongest people need support. Even the most capable minds need help sometimes. Asking for help isn't weakness. It's a sign of trust. And learning to trust again can be one of the hardest things for someone who grew up relying only on themselves. So if you're someone who struggles to ask for help, there's nothing wrong with you. Your brain simply learned to survive by being self-sufficient. But survival rules don't always serve us in the long run. Sometimes growth begins the moment we allow someone else to hold one of those heavy bags, even if it's just for a moment. And if this video helped you understand yourself a little better, consider subscribing, because this channel explores the hidden psychology behind childhood experiences and how they quietly shape the people we become. Sometimes understanding your patterns is the first step to changing them.